Welcome back to the program, Mr. Secretary Turner, Housing and Urban Development. It is an honor to have you back to talk about this critical and important issue, something that I've been obsessed with because it was the last thing I was working on with Charlie Kirk. Charlie saw it, Mr. Secretary, and I know that you know him, as something that is critical and foundational to the continuation of the American dream. If young people can't get into houses, they can't start families, they can't have children, they can't get married, they can't have grandchildren, all the joys of life get robbed from them. They'll become dark nihilists and vote for communists. And we're seeing that actually happening, and it's concerning. And so I hear that you have some news to break on our program that is actually a reversal of a trend that we've been seeing, which is homeownership out of reach for American families. The floor is yours, Mr. Secretary.
Well, Benny, thank you so much. It's great to be with you again. And yes, our man Charlie was tremendous when it came to the issues of housing. But yes, today you are announcing here on your show a major milestone for HUD and America. HUD has supported housing, affordability, and home ownership for over 1 million Americans, and over 500,000 of those are first-time home buyers. So thank you, Benny, for giving us this platform to make this major announcement for the American people.
This is amazing. This is your producer sent us this right before the show. It says HUD supports homeownership for 1 million Americans. Most importantly, 560,000 first-time home buyers. That's critical. Can you explain to me, is this historically high? Is this a tick upward? Is this all in the right direction, Mr. Secretary?
Well, you know, since January, these are the numbers, over 1 million. From FHA and Ginnie Mae, our programs here at HUD. And yes, I believe when you look at this, this is an uptick. And here lately, as you alluded to, Benny, the topic has been affordability, in particular, yes, housing affordability. And so at HUD, we have been about action. And through FHA and Ginnie Mae, we have given over 1 million Americans the opportunity to achieve the American dream. And you know what? FHA is the first-time home buyer program in America. And I want your viewers and all of those that are listening to know that FHA is that program, and Ginnie Mae is the liquidity behind these mortgages. And so, you know what, Benny, we're very excited today. The president is laser focused on housing affordability. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share some good news.
Mr. Secretary, we want to talk through some of the critical data that is backstopping our concern about affordability in America. But just one more question on this announcement. What is it that HUD did? What is it that FHA did in order to incentivize this uptick in home ownership? What policies changed from administration to administration?
Well, number one, I think when you change leadership, you change vision. During the Biden administration, our fiscal house was not in order. Inflation was at an all-time high. Mortgage rates were high. Interest rates were high. Illegal aliens to the tune of 12+ million illegal aliens flooded our borders here in America. But now under President Trump's leadership, since January, here at HUD, we have gotten our mission-minded focus back. FHA is about action. It is about helping Americans to achieve the American dream. We've been about our deregulation in America from a federal standpoint and also state and local standpoint, getting local control back to the states, back to the cities, because the regulatory environment, Benny, it literally was crippling building and development across our country. So HUD is leading the way as it pertains to taking down burdensome regulations, getting our fiscal house in order, and helping the American people, in particular young people, Gen Z and millennials, to be encouraged to build families, to have children, to be homeowners. And that's the vision that we have here at HUD.
I'm so glad that you said that, because that is what I hear on college campuses across the country, Mr. Secretary. These young people come up to me, and they used to come up to Charlie, and we're talking constantly about how the American dream is being robbed from them. Right. I often ask, if you're talking to an audience on a college campus, if you're a young man, do you want to get married? And most of the young men say yes. And then the next question is, do you want to bring your wife home to the frat house, on your wedding night? And of course, everyone laughs because it's absurd. Every man wants to bring their wife home to their home. That's where they want to go. And you talk to the young women, same story. You ask them if they want to be mothers, and the vast majority of them want to be moms. And you ask, do you want to bring your child home to a apartment building with 100 strangers? and dogs pooping in the elevator and a single room apartment? And the answer, of course, the women laugh because no woman really wants that. They want to bring their child home to a nursery in their home, in their kitchen with a white picket fence, right? And a tire swing. And that's the American dream. And so they all have that in their bones, but it's wildly out of reach for them. Here's some data on this. This is buying a home when I was born. I was born in 1986 versus today. This is the destruction of the American dream, Mr. Secretary, because you can see here how exponentially expensive American homeownership has become. And just wanting to ask you, what is your message to those young people that we talk to every single day about fixing this affordability problem?
Well, Benny, you have communicated this in such an eloquent way as it pertains to the problem that we face and the heart attitude of young people today. So thank you for bringing that up. And I'm going to go back and say, the root problem of this was during the Biden administration, housing policies were weak. Economic policies were weak. Immigration policies were weak. And so now, since the Trump administration has taken the leadership reign, we've been watching the film, Benny. We've watched the film over the past 4 years of what's been happening in America, and the film is not good. And so we're changing the playbook. We're running new plays, a different paradigm. We actually want family formation. We actually want young people to get married, to have children, to own homes. And so thank you for putting up that chart, because as you look at it, a median home price of almost $500,000, a little over $450,000 is unsustainable.
Yes, sir.
And so what we've done is first start with the regulatory environment, get the policies and the regulations correct, take down burdensome regulation and red tape and bureaucracy. Well, public-private partnerships are also a critical part of housing affordability, taking down environmental regulations that have crippled builders, and also now with opportunity zones, giving other people an opportunity to buy and afford homes throughout our country in both urban, tribal, and rural areas. And so, Benny, I want to add to that too. American people today have been discouraged to get married, in particular young people. And as a believer in the Lord Jesus, I believe that he's called us to get married, raise godly children, have godly homes, get in godly businesses, serve our country, be it pastors, lay ministers, teachers, lawyers, business people, media experts as yourself, but to build a family, build a home, because as strong as the family is, the community will be. And as strong as the community is, the country will be. And I believe that under President Trump's leadership and here at HUD and across this administration, you have like-minded people that are doing exactly what you've alluded to.
I'm so glad that you said that, Mr. Secretary, because that is the ball game. If young men and women can't get married and can't have children, if they can't get into houses and begin that process, and again, nobody wants to bring their wife or their newborn baby home to the frat house or the sorority, you got to grow up. But if you pull that ladder up generationally, if you close that door, then you're not going to have more Americans. It's actually immoral what's happening right now. Here's another chart I wanted to talk with you about. This is the median age of U.S. home buyers. Since 1981, you can see when you or I were little babies, the median age of a home buyer was in the 20s. And that's what you'd assume, right? That is peak fertility. That is when young people should be getting married and started in their lives. Now it is 40 years old for the first-time home buyer. And I'm not angry at you, Mr. Secretary. I'm angry at that statistic. You've been in office for like 7 months. But that is a trend line that has been crippling the ability for young people to get started in life. 40 years old, that's past the window of peak fertility. For women, that's something that is obviously, becomes harder and harder to raise kids, to start families at that age. And then you can see there, actually the highest and most troubling number is the average age of a home buyer, which is 60. What's going on there, Mr. Secretary? How is the average age of a home buyer? Young people are like, it's already a gerontocracy. right? It's already a society completely designed to serve the old at the expense of the young. And then this data just all but proves it, actually. 60 years old is the average age of a home buyer. What is that?
Well, it's very concerning for number one. But I'm glad again that, you put up the truth. We're not afraid of the truth. And I think a couple of things are going on here, Benny. Number one, it's the mindset of the Americans. And number two, the affordability. Let's talk about the mindset. And we talked about it a little bit before. People have not been encouraged to be married and start families.
Mm-hmm.
And because of that, people were buying homes later. People were starting families later, if they were starting families. When I was coming up, the average age of buying a home was about 28 years old. And now it's 40. Well, when I was coming up also in my young days, we were married at 23 years old, 25 years old, starting families. And my hope is that today, that the paradigm and the mindset in America will shift as we get our fiscal and economic house in order. Mm-hmm. People will be encouraged to get married, be encouraged to have children. And Charlie spoke about this so much, about the American family and growing together, getting married young and having children and growing up together, struggling together. And that's the mindset we need to get back to. But I believe that it's going to be a parallel track, get our fiscal house in order, bring affordability down, and then encourage our young Americans, say, hey, you know what? You can achieve the American dream. And this is how we're going to do it. So thank you for bringing that to the forefront.
How do we, I would love nothing more if you don't mind, Klein, if you just pop that up one more time. I'd love nothing more, Mr. Secretary, to focus on that red line right there. That would be the marquee achievement, frankly, of the vision that will save the country, that Charlie was working on. Before he was actually killed for this, he was killed for his beliefs. He was killed for standing for what he believed, and he believed that the American dream was becoming wildly out of touch and that young people would turn to communism. If that red line kept going up, if housing became unaffordable, how are we going to bend that backwards in order to make sure that people are buying, first-time home buyers are buying homes when they can still start families?
Great question. And as you were talking, I thought about something that we haven't touched on. America is a country that was founded on Judeo-Christian principles. We have gotten away, one, from the fear of God, two, from the church being what the church is supposed to be, and three, encouraging people that it's okay to be a believer. It's okay to be a Christian in America today. And when you talk about that red line and how we're going to reverse it, I believe the root of that starts with the heart of the people. And people as a country, us coming back to the Lord. The Bible says in Psalm 33:12 that blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord. Because even if we bring the economics down and we bring affordability down, which we're doing, and which the president is leading and we're a part of, we need for American families to turn their heart back to the Lord, because when you do that, then people make responsible decisions. Then families are formed. Then people begin to do things that are beneficial, not just for themselves, but for generations to come behind them. And I think that those things working together is how you're going to see that line reverse.
Well, I would love nothing more, man. I would tell you what, if there's any mark of a successful populist and nationalist movement set for America first, it would be the reversal of that trend. That our young people are getting started in life, are owning homes, are seizing the American dream, are getting families, are doing what God asked us to do, right? The first command of God to man, to his new creation made in his image, is go be fruitful and multiply. It's right there in the first book of the Bible.
That's right. But
it's not happening. One final graph for you, Mr. Secretary. Look at this, man. This is crazy. Right after World War II, 55% of under 30s, of 30 and unders, were both married and owned a home. And today, that's hovering around 10%. That's one generation, the total and complete collapse of the American dream. Getting married, falling in love, getting married, owning a home, starting a family. There it is, plain as day. And that's why people feel hopeless, especially young people feel hopeless. And I don't know if there's an easy solution. I've always thought that it'd be cool to, I've thought that it'd be neat to have potentially first-time homebuyer credits, maybe tax credit or something like that, in order to encourage under 35s to go to enter the housing market. I know that Obama did something like this for first-time homebuyers. Have you ever considered something like this, Mr. Secretary?
Well, Benny, and thank you for bringing us up. There's a lot of ideas on the table, as you know, right now. And we are open to considering all ideas. And, you know, industry experts who we meet with in the building development industry, everyday American people who want to achieve the American dream of home ownership, we're listening to them. And one thing we do here at HUD is we convene people together. We facilitate meetings for people to come in so we can hear stakeholders throughout society, whether they be professional builders, developers, families, so we can understand, you know, what's the pain, what's the struggle, because that helps us as we deliberate and as we ideate on all the ideas that are on the table. And so, yes, to your point, we are considering these. We are talking about these. We're not just meeting about it, but we are planning and coming up with strategies to do what's right for the American people as we get input from the people around our country. Now, one thing I will say from a HUD perspective, we want to make sure that we secure the stability of the housing market, not just for now, but for future generations. And also that we are good stewards over taxpayer money and government-backed loans. And so those are two priorities here that we have at HUD. And so alongside of those, running on the same track is considering all ideas that are available and then making a strategic decision to impact our country for years to come.
Yeah. It does seem so cruel to subsidize student loans at such an obscene rate. You know, if you have a $50,000 a year job, no bank's ever going to give you $1 million loan. They're going to say that's insane. And if you have a $50,000 a year job, I mean, you're going to be lucky to get a car loan, quite frankly, from a bank. But
right.
The federal government says that you can go $250,000 in debt as a student for a degree that might be worth absolutely nothing. There's no collateral against the degree. You have no money to your name, and then saddle these kids with that high interest debt forever. It seems totally perverse and evil. And I would just love to see a cultural shift more toward home buying instead of these generally worthless college educations that these kids are getting. Now $1.7 trillion in debt for student loans. I would much rather see that be going towards incentivizing the actual real economy and life for young Americans in the form of perhaps homebuyer credits. I'd love to see that cultural shift.
Yeah, you know, you made a great point too. And I think that we failed young people over the last 10 or 15 years.
Yes.
Because of this, hey, you have to go to college mindset. You have to go to college so you can get a job mindset. And then you say you're coming out of college with $200,000 worth of debt. You get a $40,000 or $50,000 a year job. And it's hard for you to even think about the American dream. But to me, we have to change the kitchen conversation. We have to change the paradigm and the mindset. Say, hey, you know, what are you good at? What are you skilled at? And expose this generation coming up